Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's Stephanie with Lumeria Star. And today what we're gonna do is I'm gonna do one of those hashtags that are kind of floating around on YouTube. This is going to be my top 10 mass market decks. And I think this is a really fun concept. I've done the top 10 decks. I think it was last year. It was Katie Flowers who started it. For this tag, I want to say it's a Rose Honey Ritual, but I'll double check. Don't quote me on that yet. I'll find out and put it in the description box if you want to check that out. But yeah, I thought it'd be really fun to take a look at my collection and really just figure out, like, if I had to narrow it down to my top 10 mass market decks, what would I choose? And this was really interesting because a majority of the decks I own are indie. So I actually don't have as many mass market decks. But the ones that I do have are amazing. So I thought it'd be really fun to narrow it down and figure out what would be my top 10. So without further ado, let's get started. So my first deck that is in my top 10 mass market decks, and this is in no particular order. This is the Aquarian Tarot. This is by David Palladini. This is the tin version, which you can see has had a lot of wear. I also have this in the full-size version. I love the Aquarian so much. This was, I think when I did this last year, the Aquarian just makes my top 10 in general. There is something about this artwork. It's so 70s. It's so retro. I love David Palladini's artwork. This sun card is absolutely stunning. The sun and the moon, actually, some of my favorites. There's something about this that connects me to that time period. And I don't know if I had a previous life in the 70s. It's interesting because I was born in the 80s, but maybe I did. Maybe I was reincarnated from someone who had passed away in the 70s. I don't know. But I've always been really drawn to a 70s kind of retro aesthetic. And this deck, like, the very first time I worked with her, it was like we knew each other. Look at that moon card. So beautiful. So as I said, this is one of my top 10 decks ever. And yeah, because this one's a travel size in the tin. I love the travel in a tin decks. My tin decks tend to get a lot of use and a lot of wear. So they travel with me, they've been overseas with me, they go hiking with me, they go to the beach. You know, if you look closely, a lot of these cards have a lot of wear, which I kind of love. I love decks that feel like they've been through the ringer and they've been through a lot with you and they tell a story. So that's how this deck feels to me. So this is absolutely, if I had to pick top 10 mass market, 100% Aquarian Tarot would be in there. I just love it so much. And just the color palette, oh my gosh, it's so good. It's so, so good. Look at this Ace of Cups, beautiful. Yeah, I love this deck so much, and we've been through a lot, so this is very special to me. I love Ace of Pentacles. The aces are good too. Ace of Rods. We've got these like blooming flowers. I love it. So that is one of my tops. This might even be number one. This isn't rated, but like I love the Aquarian so much. So this is the tin version by David Palladini, and this is a US Games deck. Okay, so we're gonna go on to another tin deck, and that is my Morgan Greer. Can you all see how banged up this one is? So this is, and this one actually gets, the box is a little rusty because this deck is my beach deck. So for those of you who don't know, I live at the beach. I live 2 blocks from the Atlantic Ocean, and so I'm at the beach all the time, and in the summer I practically live there. So this deck, for some reason, is my summer beach deck. I don't know why. Maybe it's like the saturated colors feel like summery to me. So this deck is always in my beach bag. So it has seen some wear. I've edged this in blue to match the backs. It is really worn. The cards are very weathered. You could tell some of them have a little bit of water damage because obviously we're at the beach. So there's sand in the tin. But I just love this deck so much. Again, with the 70s aesthetic that I just really enjoy. This artwork reminds me of like children's books I used to read like in the 80s. So I guess maybe the books were, I don't know, maybe illustrated in this same style, whether it was like early, oh my gosh, I can't talk, early 80s or like late 70s. But I really do love this deck so much. She has also been traveling with me quite a bit in the past. She's gone on many hikes. I believe she's been overseas as well. And yeah, I love the Morgan Greer. It's such a vibe. It's so, so good. Look at this beautiful Empress. I love all the 70s mustaches. It's just so good. And I really love using these decks too. The Aquarian as well. Look at this devil card. I really love using this one and the Aquarian at events because a lot of times I'll read for people maybe who are older or have been into tarot for a long time and like they also either own this deck or it's a deck that they're familiar with the artwork, so it feels very special. So yeah, this is another one that I feel like people really connect to the artwork. So this is a wonderful deck that is also in my top 10 mass markets. Okay, so in the same vein of tin decks, we're just gonna do a couple of my tin decks. This is my Halloween Tarot. This is by Kipling West. This is a US Games deck. I love the Halloween Tarot so much. Let's see, why is this so... There we go, out of order. Okay, these are the backs. I also have this in a full-size version. This is so fun. This is a deck, obviously, I love to use in October. This is a deck I actually really like to use for inner child work as well, just because of the type of illustration. It really connects me to being with a little kid, the little kid that I was. I always liked things very spooky and scary, so it feels very resonant for me. I love how the, why are these all messed up? Okay. I love how these suits are renamed. So we've got bats, we've got ghosts for cups. Look how cute. The Emperor as Frankenstein's monster is so good. We have, where are the other renamed ones? Bats, we went through. Ghosts are cups. Imps are wands. And then I think pumpkins, yeah, pumpkins are pentacles. So this deck is just so fun. This is another one that, you know, gets a lot of travel. The tin decks are so good for travel. And this one is very Rider-Waite Smith based, as you can see. So this is also a really great, like learning deck, in my opinion. Like if you're just learning tarot and you love Halloween, I think this is a great option. And I will use this even when it's not Halloween. Like if I need like a pick-me-up, if I've had a bad day. I think I definitely featured this when I did the video of my good mood decks. This is a deck that just puts me in a good mood because it's Halloween, and Halloween is my jam. It's, to me, Halloween, October, and autumn is the most magical time of the year. I know people say for a lot of people it's December with Christmas and New Year's, but for me it is Halloween. So this is one that is just so good. And look at this, the towers, this haunted house. I love it. And you know what's another cute thing about this deck is every single card has the same black cat. So it's kind of fun, like trying to find where he is. So once I learned that, that just made it like that much more just fun and playful to use. So that is the Halloween Tarot in the tin. I also have the full version and they are wonderful. So that is deck number 3 for my mass markets. Okay, so deck number 4, again, this is no particular order. This is my last tarot in a tin deck I'm going to show. This is the Barbara Walker Tarot. So this, again, all my tin decks tend to get a lot of travel, but this one's the newest out of all 4 of my tin decks. Why is this all crazy? Okay, so this deck I feel is, again, very 70s in aesthetic. It is so witchy. It is so powerful and fierce and feminist, and she scares me. Like, to me, this deck is very dark feminine energy. So she is such a truth teller. I love her so much, but she is no bullshit. Like, if you have a question where you really need to get to the answer and you can handle it, like if you need sugar coating, if you need a little gentle hug, don't use Barbara Walker. But if you're just like, nope, give it to me straight, I can handle it. Oh my gosh, this deck is so good. So I don't use this deck to read for others unless they want it, and I always give that disclaimer. This is a deck that's really just for me. I've definitely read for friends as well, but she is zero bullshit. She is the deck that she just calls you out. She calls it like she sees it, and she says, I said what I said, and you just say, okay, thank you. Like, you cannot disrespect this deck. So I love it so much. I would love to get my hands on Barbara Walker's guidebook, like the full-size guidebook that came with the original deck. Like, this is like the reprinted tin deck, but this was, when was this created? Oh, this is 86. I thought this was 70s. So I guess she created this in 86, but I would love to find her guidebook because I really want to go deeper into a lot of these images. The little white book is like fine, the one that comes in here, but I don't really use it. But I would just love to know more about like why she created the image, what it means. I just feel like there's so much deeply embedded in this imagery that I've barely scratched the surface with. I also find the keywords really interesting too. Like, it helps me look at tarot in a different light. And I appreciate that. So this holds a very specific space in my collection as just a very no nonsense bullshit, very strong, very dark feminine deck, and I'm obsessed. So that is the Barbara Walker Tarot, and that's my last tin deck I'm going to show. So that is deck number 4 in my mass market choices. Okay, so next deck I want to show is the Queer Tarot. So this is by, oh, I feel like I keep bumping the camera. Okay, this is by Ashley Molesso and Chess Needham. So this deck is such beautiful quality for being mass market. And it's got a box within a box. So this is by, who's the publisher? RP Studio. So I picked this up at my local Barnes & Noble. This deck is probably one of my favorite decks. I've been looking for a deck that's really nice and all-inclusive, especially because when I read at events, I want something that feels accessible to all. And sometimes the all feminine decks, like it really leaves, you know, non-binary and men out of the picture. So I wanted a deck that just has everybody. This is probably one of my favorite Nine of Pentacles too. Look how gorgeous. But I love first of all, I just love the artwork. What is the name of this art? I want to say it's Lino Cut. I forget. I read it in the book, but I really love this art style. Again, it gives a kind of 70s kind of retro vibe. I'm loving the bright colors, and I love how it's very Rider-Waite Smith based. We've got body diversity, which is amazing. We've got different genders. We've got just all kinds of people. I feel like you can see yourself at least somewhere in this deck. So this is just a joy to work with. It's probably one of my favorite decks, truly, to bring to events to read with. If I don't want like a classic deck. And I typically, and this is just me personally, because Rider-Waite Smith is my like reading system of choice. When I read at events, I want a Rider-Waite Smith deck because I can read them quickly, as opposed to some of my other decks where I might just use for me and my study. But this is such a great deck for public events. So a little something for everyone. The colors are bright and cheerful, so even when the reading is kind of hard, I feel like the colors just kind of soften the blow for some of the harder cards. So pretty. All the pinks. I think it's the hot pinks that do it for me. I'm definitely a hot pink kind of girl. So, so good. And then on top of that, the guidebook is super good. So let's take a look at that. Okay, so the guidebook that comes in the box is really great. First of all, look at the inside of the book. And, you know, it talks a little bit about the artwork. Oh, wait, does it say what kind of art it is? The artwork. Risograph, that's the type of artwork. Okay, so we've got some spreads: spectrum spread, identity spread, good mood spread, new relationship spread, new perspective, desire. I need to do these, by the way. Goal spread. Okay, so then we go into each card, and what I really love too is it gives keywords. It gives like a write-up for the card. It gives reverse meanings and then things to consider, which most of them are questions, so I feel like you could use them as like journal prompts. And then all of the cards are actually modeled by real people, so it gives their name and their pronouns, which I think is great. So this is such a joy. The quality is great. You can learn more about the models in the back too, like whoever they were based off of. And yeah, it's just so all-inclusive. It's bright, it's colorful, it's welcoming, it's warm. So I really, really, really love the Queer Tarot. Oops, put it back. The box within a box. So let's put that back in. Okay. I might have to keep this out. I'm actually teaching a tarot workshop this month in person, so I'll probably let me keep this out to bring with me as we go through cards. Okay, so that is for 5. Okay, deck number 6. This is such a favorite of mine. This is the Tarot de Carlotides. This is by Fournier, and who is the artist? That is, probably will say inside. First of all, look at this print on the inside. Okay, so this is by Carlotta Santos, and I love this deck so much. If I did one of those My Aesthetic videos, which I haven't, but I should probably put that on the list of like decks that I feel like are my aesthetic. This is so my aesthetic. Everything down to the black, like this mix of like dark but florals. Like, I don't know. It's folksy, it's feminine, but it's such a good reader. It's got all kinds of really great references in here. It's kind of all over the place, but it's still cohesive at the same time. I love the size of it. It's smaller than a standard tarot size. Yeah, it feels like folksy, but pagan, but artistic. There's just a lot of different subtle references in this deck. It's whimsical. I don't know. There's just something about this deck that to me, I feel like is just perfection. Yeah, it's got these very pagan kind of cards. We've got references to like, what is this? Fairy tale. This is the Princess and the Pea. Like, look at this. The 10 of Cups is caviar and oysters and vodka. Like, yeah, that's 10 of Cups vibes to me, for sure. Yeah, it's just very whimsical. This feels very Wicker Man. Beautiful artwork. The line work is so like delicate and feminine too. I really love it. Queen of Pentacles is beautiful. Look at this. 8 of Cups with the moon and the key. It's just so good. I love that the Queen of Wands is a nod to Midsommar. So, so good. One of my favorite horror films. Yeah, it's feminine, but like it's got like dark undertones, and I think that's my aesthetic. Feminine but dark. We've got dragons, we've got skeletons, lots of florals. Look at this devil card. It's so good, but it's like feminine and pretty. We've got David Bowie, who I love. Yeah, this is such a good deck. I don't know why it's not more like out there. The Lovers is, who is this? Gustav Klimt. The Kiss. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. This moon is stunning. Look at this Strength card. Yeah, I could just fangirl over this deck. This is so good. It's so reasonably priced, and the fact that it's mass market, it's great. So this is top on my list, and if I do a My Aesthetic video, this would definitely be in there. So this is the Tarot to Carlotides. It's a Fournier deck, very affordable in the mass market, and I highly suggest it. Amazing. Okay, so we are on to, that's 4, 5, 6, deck number 7. Okay, so this is the Deviant Moon. This is the mass market edition, borderless version. It took me a while to get this. I feel like everyone was very into it, like when it was indie. I picked it up when it was mass market, so obviously it was very affordable. I still need to edge these in black. Maybe I'll do that like today if I need a little something to keep my hands busy. Okay, so this deck I wasn't sure with at first. I was like, I don't know if I love the artwork, but it felt familiar and I couldn't figure out why. And I was like, you know what? It's mass market. It's not super expensive. Let me just give it a try. I think I had like an Amazon credit or something. So I got it, and I decided to also get the really pretty coffee table book with it because I wanted to really get to know these images, and I wanted to see what Patrick Valenza, who's the creator, I wanted to see what he said about them. And when I tell you, first of all, that coffee table book is amazing. He goes into detail about like what goes on in the cards. And to me, this might sound weird. I know a lot of people use this deck for shadow work. I use this for inner child work. And to me, a lot of inner child work is shadow work, if that makes sense. So this deck is so good for inner child work, should you want to go there. What I also love about this is the artwork I figured out really reminded me of this children's book I used to have and I used to love. It was called The Stinky Cheese Man and Other Tales or something. And the artwork was very similar to this. And I loved that book so much. It was just like really funny and cheeky. And yeah, it just gives me all those like inner child vibes that I'm looking for. So this deck really easily transports me into that inner child space. And I can really connect with that 5-year-old or that 7-year-old version of me. And this deck does it so well and does it with that shadowy undertone. So it's not all love and light. I have another deck that I really love for inner child work. If it's more like connecting with play and things like that. This one can be a little bit darker. It's maybe what some people use the Nicoletta Ciccoli for. And I've never really read with that deck. I certainly would like to try. And I know that's mass market too. So maybe one day I'll give that a try. But this one is just hitting all the right notes. So good. If you don't already have this, highly suggest for inner child work. If there's things you want to work through. And if you have this, I'd love to know, do you use this for inner child work, or is it more just shadow work, or is it just, you know, any old deck, or maybe you use it for, you know, Halloween or Samhain, but it is just so, so good. Okay, so that is the Deviant Moon. This is the borderless edition that is mass market, and I love it. This one really surprised me too. I didn't think I would love it as much as I do. Okay, so the next deck is going to be a set of a few. So if you follow me on Instagram, it's probably no surprise that I absolutely love the Seasons of the Witch series. I cannot wait to have all 8 of them when they're created and they're out. So I'm going to show you these 2. This is Seasons of the Witch Samhain and Seasons of the Witch Beltane. I also have the Yule deck, and I thought I had it with me to film this, but I realized it's downstairs with my decks that I've been using for obviously the month of December and Yule. So I'm not going to stop this video to go get it. It's just consider it included in this series. So there should be 3 here. I love this series so much. I think for a lot of reasons. So my tarot and oracle and divination practice, and just witchy practices in general, is very heavily tied to seasonal energy. That's just kind of how I've always done things. That's how I connect to magic, is with the seasons and the changing cycles. That's why I created the Lumeria Star Tarot Edit as well on Instagram, because I just want decks that help me tap into that energy. So when these decks came out, that literally, you know, there's going to be one deck for each Sabbath, like that is my practice. So I was naturally drawn to them. I also really love the artwork of Giada Rose. Her artwork kind of gives me this like folk art. It's beautiful, but it's got this touch of like haunting energy. Again, very my aesthetic. So this one is the Beltane one, so it's really great for spring. This deck is very sacral chakra, very Empress, very springtime creative energy, coming back to life, pleasure, reconnecting to the body and nature. So I adore the Beltane deck so much. And I just got this last year, and it was such a joy to work with. She pairs really well actually with the Tarot de Carlotides. They really like each other, which also gives me a springy vibe. But yeah, this deck was so beautiful to work with. Really great for journaling too. So this would be definitely in my top 10. And I cannot wait. I think the next deck coming out is Mabon. And that, unfortunately, that deck won't be coming out till next year. So that's kind of a bummer. I was hoping maybe something sooner would come, but that's okay. I know these things take time. So the next one is the Seasons of the Witch Samhain Oracle, which I know a lot of people have and love. beautiful backs. And I do also have this original indie version as well. But I love having a deck that will help me connect directly to the Sabbats and the Wheel of the Year. And I love the idea of, once this full series is complete, that will make 8 decks, and that will be 1 deck per Sabbat, and I think that's incredible. So I really hope they follow through and do the whole 8. That would make me really, really happy. It's just so nice to know you have a deck that can directly connect you to that seasonal energy that's happening right now. And this Samhain deck is exactly, I feel like the energy and the artwork and the guidebook and all of the writing directly connects me to how I experience Samhain. Like, I love Halloween and I love the pumpkin and the playful decks. This to me is that magical dark energy, that smell of that crisp October night where the veil is thinning. This is what this deck feels like, smells like, sounds like, looks like. So I just adore this deck so, so much, and she's such a joy to bring out every year. So this would have to be in my top 10 mass market decks as well. And I know she's a fan favorite in the tarot community. So that is the Seasons of the Witch Samhain Oracle, along with the Beltane Oracle. I'm also including Yule Oracle, but I don't have it with me now. It's downstairs. So, but also, you know, it's part of this top 10. But I don't want to stop the video to go get it because I'm currently working with it. Okay, so that would take us to 9 decks with counting Yule. So my number 10 deck is really surprising. I love this deck. Okay, so this, again, mass market. This is the Soulflower Plant Spirit Oracle. This is by Lisa Estabrook, and this is by Findhorn Press. So this, what am I trying to say? So this deck was actually not mass market. This deck was indie originally, and then it went mass market. So this was actually sent to me as a gift. And I'll admit, I probably wouldn't have bought it just looking at the box. Like, I'd be like, okay, it's probably not for me. But. So I do love, like, the backs are just, even though they're different colors, they're just, it still feels cohesive. They are a little bit larger, which is fine. It's not my favorite thing, but number one, I love the artwork. I think the watercolors of the flowers are so pretty. I also love, it gives the name of the flower and a keyword I can work with. That alone is like a game changer. Like, if it's just lavender, it's like, I don't know how to read that. I could try, but like, it's easier for me when there's a keyword I can work with. On top of that, it gives a little write-up. So you don't even really need the guidebook. You could just use the little write-up, which are great. I might even, because this actual write-up is in the guidebook, I might even eventually just kind of chop that off and just have the cards like this. That might be a winter project for me. And because the backs are just, they're not like any uniform pattern, it would work fine. But these messages are so good. I haven't used it for my journaling practice yet, but I'm going to, because there's so much juiciness in the book that I'll show you. But I use this a lot for client readings. Like, this will be like a final message to close out the reading. And it is scary how beautiful and spot on this deck is. It really surprised me. I did not think I was going to love this deck the way I do. I thought it was just like, oh, okay, it's a pretty flower deck. Like, I'll use it for a little bit. Maybe I'll pass it along to someone else or give it away. No, I love this deck. I love it. I love it. I usually keep this right near my work desk, and I'll pull a card for me in the afternoon if I just need a little, you know, hit of wisdom or a little bit of guidance. And without fail, this deck always gives me the message I need. And again, you don't need the guidebook handy because you have enough here to work with. You have, again, the flower name, the keyword, and a little message. So like if you don't have the guidebook with you and you're just carrying the deck, it works great. So the guidebook is awesome. I'm going to show. So let's see. Put this in the frame. So tending the garden of your soul, starting with the soil. So I love how it kind of just takes us through the process of like planting seeds and growing things. So planting seeds early spring or new moons. We've got like information on that. Supporting growth, it's spring, waxing moon, blooming, summer and full moons, rest and renewal, winter and dark moon. So you could use this seasonally. You could use this with the moon phases. So that really appeals to me too. We've got information on plant spirits, cultivating a daily practice, sacred gardening. I love that idea. We've got affirmations. And then we go into the actual flowers. So like the first one is aster. So this bold text right here is what's shown on the card. So if I do want to chop them off, I still have that, which is great. And then we have quite a bit of text for each card. And then it leaves us with either like do they all have affirmations? Yeah, they all have affirmations. I just feel like it has so much. It's really, really good. So I love this. I didn't think I would, and I love this. And this is going in my top 10 mass markets. So that is the Soulflower Plant Spirit Oracle with excellent guidebook. That is number 10. And then I'm going to share my bonus 11th choice for mass market. It is in this bag right here. And this is actually a combination of 2 decks combined into one. This is the Work Your Light Oracle and the Starseed Oracle. So these are by Rebecca Campbell and illustrated by Danielle Noel. So I did combine them, so the backs are not all uniform, but I took out the cards that didn't resonate with me because some of them just didn't, so they're in the box. So I created one mega deck, and I can't take credit for this. I got this idea from Dawn Michelle at Boho Tarot, and I was like, oh, that's such a great idea. So I did combine the two and took out the cards that either I felt like were redundant or just didn't connect with me. I think I might take this a next step further, and this is giving credit to Danny over at Danny Mystic. She took this, I believe it was just the Work Your Light? She chopped off all of this and created her own meanings and like stamped them on, and I think that's also really awesome. So I might do that. That might be a winter project. I might number these, and because I have the guidebook, if I want to go back to the original meanings, I can. And then I might give some of these my own like assigned keywords and make this really personal. So that's on my to-do list for decks I want to mod. I have a whole pile of decks I want to mod. I just have not gotten there yet. But I feel like winter is a really great time for creative projects because like half the time we're just like in our house because it's cold out. So that might have to happen maybe in January when I tackle some creative projects. So this deck is great. It's been combined, and I think I might take it a step further. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Danielle Noel's art, as you probably know. I do enjoy Rebecca Campbell's writing. I've read a couple of her books. And the reason I took some of the cards out is like not all of the Starseed stuff really resonates with me. So, you know, if it didn't resonate, I took it out, but I might be able to go back now. And if I do decide to cut off the titles, and, you know, if I can rename them to something that makes more sense to me, that could be really fun. So that's a big thing on the to-do list. So that is my Work Your Light and Starseed Oracle mega deck. So yeah, guys, this is all of my top 10 decks for the mass market. So let's put them all in here. So good. Let's see, can I fit all these in here? Let's see. There we go. And the Yule deck would be here too, but like I said, that's downstairs and I wasn't about to stop and edit the video to do that. Too much for me. But yeah, this is my top 10 mass market decks if I had to pick a top 10. I'd love to hear what you all think in the comments down below. So let me know what's in your top 10. Are any of these in your top 10? What would be in yours? Also, feel free to give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't already. And I hope you all enjoyed this, and I will see you in the next video. Take care, everyone. Bye.